So we had a bunch of aesthetic changes to the Manager UI this month. We're going to cover that, which included settings and the navigation. So let's have a look. So if you notice, the navigation is now white. It is nice and clean. We updated the actual font, so it's a little bit smaller, so we can squeeze in more room there. So we know that has changed in schema. But in code, it's still in the dark mode because we know that's developers' eyes hurt, so we kept the code in dark mode. But yeah, you'll notice that navigation change here. You'll notice there is a nice filter now in navigation, and that filter exists for content and in schema. Right. Yeah. So let's keep cruising through the notes. We overhauled the design of the settings application. So if we click on the settings, notice too, like as the setting changes, you get this nice little dirty notice, and it'll explain to you how and when the setting actually launches. And the save button is now top right, and settings are kind of side by side here. You also can get access to head tags over here and robots text. So reorganize the way this navigation is laid out for the settings application. Keep going down. There's a new feature that everybody got released. We're calling this feature Content Insights. Let's check out what Content Insights looks like. So if we go to an article page, which let's take a look at release notes for July. Let's try this here. July release notes. Not gonna get it that way. Let's see what it's called. July 2021 release notes. So let's take a look at July 2021 release notes. Under here, underneath your SEO meta tab, you're going to see the new Content Insights experience, which is down to the right. And what it importantly does, it tells you about word occurrences and how many happen. So the word content shows up 26 times in this page. The word fix is 16 times. I guess we fixed things 16 times, which is great. The word enhancement 13, etc. And then if we scroll down to the bottom, it shows word occurrences for the URL, meta, title, and description. Now, it's of value for this, outside of getting a word count and how many unique words you have, is showing you that what of your content matches your meta, which is really, really important, because when search engines still look at meta titles, they still look at meta descriptions. And what this is showing you is that your content over here is it matching what you've written in your meta tab? And that's really, really key. And why that is important is that Google will still reference, like if your URL path part, meta title, and description matches up to what you have for content, that just adds value and weight to your search engine ranking. So I'll show you an example. So the word content came up 26 times, but I don't see the word content as a match here. So if I just type the word content in my meta title, I'll get a real-time update showing me that content is matched, and then I have the content matching. And I know that, so as like a marketer or content author, I want to make sure this information is lined up for the best words on page. That way I can be found better on search engines. All right, back to the notes. We're going to get into the updates to the app overall in general. For robots text, there was a bug of robots text where robots text was showing a 404. That no longer is the case. It now 200s, and it redirects properly if it gets accessed by www. Before the redirect was creating an issue with robots text. That's all fixed. There was an update to sitemaps too, to just omit more information, which was change frequency was omitted from sitemaps because change frequency is no longer being used by Google. So because some of the sitemaps are very big, we removed it to save space. So just take a look at that, sitemap XML. You notice that we're showing, make this bigger, we're just showing the location, the last modification, which is based upon the publish date, and the priority, which is still being used. It can be controlled inside of Zesty. Okay, so jumping back into the notes, Parsley Auto Layout, which is a Parsley call that will automatically take all the content you have and stack it in the design. It was updated to use stacked mode. It's also updated to automatically reference the new visual layout tool, which we'll be presenting most likely next release notes. So Parsley Auto Layout will start doing more and more for you. Right now, when you create a new content model, Parse.ly Auto Layout will automatically build into the content view, so you don't have to start editing a content view right away. Parse.ly can also now, when you're looping through media, when multiple media items, you can access the index and the length of the number of media items you have, which allows you to create more logic around this particular feature for building like quick little sliders and experiences like that. Web engine modes, you can now do toJSON, which I think we talked about last time, but you can see that this page can be turned into headless data immediately by adding toJSON. You have to have a particular feature turned on in your settings over here. Your mode either has to be hybrid or headless. I would suggest if you already have a site on Zesty, you can try hybrid mode out. But if you don't plan on sending any headless data, just stay in traditional mode. Okay, continuing on with the notes. Let's go back here. Alright, so Manager UI got quite a few aesthetic design updates. This rounded edges on the search, for example. And one really key one is if you go in the schema and you click into something you're working on, the edit code button now directly brings you right to the view reference that is related to the schema. And also from content, it'll bring you directly to the view reference related to that content. So it's a nice little shortcut. There's now a new docs component that links to zesty.org docs, and I think we can show you one of those in settings. So you see down here, if you look for these links docs, it's going to pop you open to the relative area inside of zesty.org with a search that gets you to reference the particular item there. We're going to continue sprinkling docs into the system just to make it easier to get around. So back to release notes, quite a few design updates. Design update to the docs flyout, which is relative to the section you're in. So these docs, for example, are showing stuff to do with settings. If we jumped into content, the docs here are going to be relative to content. So it's a nice little useful flyout. Check it out. Some tooltip notifications are existing, and also quick links in the code drawer, which is really useful if you're developing. So if I go over to my code section and I go to something that is independent file like this Bulma CSS file, I hit this file open, it's going to provide me an instant contextual link to get to that file. That way you don't have to guess it or copy and paste, it's just right there for you. And that's for all. So like this example JSON here, again, just getting you right directly the way you need to go. Alright, back to the notes. Control S when you're working inside of a WYSIWYG now does save for you. Before it was prompting the browser's save. The actual content filter has been increased where you can add a ZUID to it, a path, or the name. So check out the content filter. And there is a button added to content to get you back to, if you're over somewhere else, you want to get back to the dashboard, there's this quick button to get to the dashboard. In your instances drop down over here, there's now a link to get to the web engine preview immediately, which is just a nice, useful, again, just creating more references to get to things faster. The main navigation now no longer grows. Before, the navigation just grew to the relative size of the width of the page. It now will just stay at a fixed total width. And you can collapse this now too, just to gain more real estate on your screen. We fixed this empty row. We used to have this ghost row that would come up. What's one little feature inside of Zesty, if I was to start working on something new and I decided I needed to go away and then come back, I would have that saved reference there to get back into my editing experience. We had a bug where that save reference would always show no matter what, even if there is nothing being saved. That bug was fixed. And another enhancement to the content items section is Web Engine Preview. And Web Engine Preview is a new tab available on content items. And when you click that, it shows you the preview for the page you're editing. So it's just quick. You can edit over here and move back over. If I have exclamation point, jump back over, etc., etc., it's going to update for you. This home page is personalized, so I can't really show you an example here. Let's show you an example with one of the articles. So the release notes. I'm going to add I'm going to preview it in Web Engine. I see the release notes. I'm going to go back to edit. I'm going to add a couple exclamation marks, hit the save button, and go to preview, and I can see my preview right away. Just this quick little shortcut feature. There's a lot of ways to preview, right? We also have a preview tool, but it's just one extra simple feature to get you quick to preview, particularly for the content authors. There was a bug where the head tab was showing for headless content items, and that no longer shows. And one thing to look out, we have a new headless options tab coming, so be on the lookout for that. We'll talk about it on the next release notes. Thank you for tuning in. That is the update for July. Looking forward to seeing you next month.